Happy Valentine's Day, everybody!
So a couple years ago, I did a video on my second channel called A Crappy Valentine's Day Double Feature, where I looked at two bad Valentine's Day episodes because, you know, we need more Valentine's Day cynicism. Well, I liked making that video so much, and since we're already halfway through February and I've given you one video this year, let's play catch up and give you two reviews at once.
I may regret this decision afterwards.
If you recall, Mr. Right is a movie I placed at number 2 on my worst movies of 2016 list, above such classics as 9 Lives and Norm of the North, and I stand by that. But ever since I did that video, I felt covering it in a short segment for a list wasn't enough. I have to review this. But since the consensus wasn't as bad as it should have been, and thankfully the world didn't lose its fucking mind and praise the hell out of it, it won't work for film exaggeration.
But now I have this.
Directed by the guy who brought us Rage, starring Nicolas Cage, and written by Max Landis. Landis, you may remember, did Chronicle in 2012, but after that, he just seemed to vanish for like 3 years until returning in 2015, writing Victor Frankenstein and American Ultra, which were both pretty underwhelming. But he also directed the music video for Ariana Grande's One Last Time, which must have inspired him to enter the director's chair because he then directed his first feature film, Me, Him, Her, which is one of the most amateur movies I've seen in the last few years. And then, for some reason, the internet just embraced him as the new Kevin Smith, which I just don't get. Smith earned his right to be the god of geek culture. This guy made one really good movie and popularized the Rey from Force Awakens is a Mary Sue argument that falls apart if you actually watch the film.
But whatever, I'm getting off track. Let's just get into this piece of shit so I can show you how much it sucks. Let's do this!
It begins with a tape of class in 1992 where all the kids are saying what they want to be when they grow up. One girl named Martha says she wants to be a T-Rex.
Based on everything else we'll learn about this woman, she never made it past the mentality of 8.
23 years later, we see Martha, as played by Anna Kendrick, preparing herself for when her boyfriend comes home. By the way, I didn't add this song. This is what is actually playing in the movie. From these clips, you'll see that Martha is a bit quirky, and by that I mean she's ungodly annoying. So she sits or lays down to wait for her boyfriend, but he decided to bring the girl he was cheating on her with home because, I don't know, he's a fucking idiot.
I mean, was I cheating on you? Yes, maybe.
Because, you know, Anna Kendrick isn't good enough.
Yeah, this is super fucked.
But maybe it's a new beginning, right? You got no sense of adventure.
Dead. We then meet our other main character. We don't find out his name until halfway, but it's Francis, played by Sam Rockwell. He's a hitman and you can tell he's quirky because he dances in elevators and wears a clown nose while carrying out his hits.
Look, Don't hurt my feelings. Sharon, you contacted a fixer to hire someone to kill your husband.
So if you're not there, then why are you here?
Murder's wrong, Sharon.
But you're a hitman.
Nobody's perfect.
Wow! The literal first scene and I already hate everything about this character. So let me say if I got this straight. Killing people is bad, so I'm gonna kill people who ask me to kill people. You could just record the hit.
Well, this movie just introduced two of the worst main characters in recent memory. I'm glad I get to spend the next hour and a half with these two. So Martha's been drinking her sorrows away while her roommate tries to get her together.
We're coming in. No! No! This is my whole zone! This is for me! You stop judging me, because these are my favorite socks.
You're almost 30. This is how a teenager reacts to a breakup, not a grown adult.
You don't know the situation. You don't know what's in my heart, because you're racist.
Oh my god, this is what every baby boomer thinks a millennial is. We then see a group of other assassins grouped together in a van as they head up to take down Francis, as he's apparently a wanted man. But it turns out they're incompetent and all end up killed in the least bloody gunfight I've seen in a while. This is rated R, by the way. And while all this is happening, someone named Hopper, played by Tim Roth, is listening in on this.
Well, if he's by the cake, that means he's got a knife.
If you know every move this guy's gonna make, why don't you just kill him?
Who shoots cake?
This is a movie made for douchebags.
We cut back to Martha, and since I've already explained how awful this character is, let's talk about how terrible Anna Kendrick's performance is. She sounds like she had absolutely no direction and is completely lost, just doing whatever she can to make the dialogue work. If I can describe her performance, it's kind of like the persona Kesha did in a lot of her early stuff, that sort of vague Valley Girl shtick.
Oh, that looks like a butt. My boobs look like a butt.
I want to do something terrible.
So in the metaphor, do you think I won or lost? Every time I get dressed, I have to confront, like, what does this say about me? Drive around all day dead-eyeing teenagers.
This whole reverse hitman thing, I want to do something terrible. I'm just panic rationalizing this to myself. Boobs or something, I don't know. He's gonna come and kill us. I'm Johnny Moon. I love you, Vaughn.
In fact, she kind of feels like a rejected supporting character from the Pitch Perfect movies.
I can't even be angry at that, I just pity her.
I'm not watching you repeat yourself. You're like the little engine that just keeps running off the tracks.
Head to... What?
Pet the cat.
Love the cat.
I like your beard.
Sophie takes Martha to her job at the animal shelter.
Why are you wearing the cat ears?
The sell them behind the counter.
Those are for the little kids.
Well, I feel beautiful.
I'll give this movie this. The cats are cute, but Sophie warns Martha that one of the cats is very aggressive, so of course the dumbass tries to hold it. This woman is proof that natural selection is a myth.
Sorry, you really took the brunt of it. I thought you'd have better reflexes working with cats so long.
You are a mean girl. You're a bitch.
Martha bumps into Francis in a pharmacy, and then this happens. So, he has superpowers. The two, I guess, hit it off, and he asks her on a date.
I actually relate to that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it takes me like half an hour every morning just to decide what to wear.
Oh, because I thought this was a terrible, terrible accident.
No, this is a conscious decision. I'm completely fucking bananas.
Somehow these two being together is gonna bring about the apocalypse, I just know it.
Somehow, despite being perfect for each other, they have absolutely no chemistry. And I normally don't like saying that since there's usually at least a little bit just from being on screen together, but these two don't even have that. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it turned out they couldn't get them at the same time and one of them was green screened in. And if that's the case, then bravo on the special effects, I never would have noticed. As the two walk through a park, they are attacked by an assassin, but thankfully Francis can bullet time through the shots.
This all seems very familiar.
This right here sums up the whole film. Sam Rockwell is charismatic enough that he can occasionally make these lines work, but not much. Hopper watches over Francis as a fake member of the FBI, and it turns out he was the one who trained Francis. Martha tells Sophie about her new boyfriend.
Oh my god, I just realized I don't know his name.
Who, Mr. Rife?
I don't need a name for that.
But he's still, he didn't tell you his name. Martha, at some point you're gonna just have to start recognizing these red flags.
Why? Do you think he's evil? What if he is? You know, when I was little, I had this fantasy that I was dating Lex Luthor.
From Superman?
Actually, you and current Lex Luthor would probably get along just fine.
Sophie is the only character in this movie who somewhat acts rational, so of course she's barely in it. The two go out to dinner, but the one assassin Francis left alive earlier is there and they go outside to settle it. They get a squabble, even getting a gay joke. I thought those died in the mid-2000s, but then Francis defeats him very easily. So, was there a point to this character being kept alive earlier?
Did you have to finish a book on tape?
No, sorry. I had to kill somebody in the parking lot, some asshole. Yeah, he was a real dickhead.
We then meet these two mob brothers called the Cardigans, Vaughn and Richard. Vaughn and his friend Johnny kill one of their henchmen and blame it on some guy named Garcia. So he convinces Richard to hire Francis to kill Garcia. Remember this, it'll be stupid later. Francis tells Martha about some mythical bullshit that basically allows them to slow down the world around them to make it easier to dodge projectiles.
Martha.
Damn it, we almost got her.
And to demonstrate some of the tonal shifts in this thing, here's a scene right before Francis does a hit.
So, when we were in bed last night,
Oh, no, it's fine. I smelled it. I know, gumbo,
oh my
hot dogs, I get it.
You're such an idiot.
It doesn't bother me. It's fine.
1 minute later.
Are you upset?
Can I go home, please?
This movie juggles romance, comedy, and crime drama worse than Gigli. Yeah, I said it!
Since the guy Francis killed was the Cardigans guy, they follow him back and get his address. But the FBI get there first and tell her that he was actually a former killer for the CIA and quit, developing a moral code that he only kills people who hire him to kill someone else, because murder is a proper punishment for attempted murder.
He kills the people who hire him.
Yeah. Because murder is wrong.
That's insane.
Now you may think this movie is agreeing with me. Hold on.
They ask Martha to call if he ever contacts her again, and meanwhile Vaughn and Johnny gather up some guys to go kill Francis, including Steve, played by RZA, which I guess means rappers with zero acting. Francis takes out Hopper and brings him inside.
Is this guy dead?
Wasn't she just having a crisis on if she trusted this guy or not?
And that seems to be the main source of humor in this movie. They're in this incredibly tense situation, and they treat it like it's just another day at the office.
It's all one joke, and it's not even that funny. The mob arrives, and Sophie tries to tell Martha they should call the police, again making her the most logical character. And yet I feel they're trying to play her off as some kind of annoying nag. They even lock her in the closet. A fight ensues, and while it's shot okay with some decent choreography, there's no tension because the two are invincible. They manage to not only not get killed against the many armed mobsters, but can take them out without actually killing them. Oh, but wait, I guess Francis did get a small injury to the hand, so that's something.
Wait a minute, this movie is about invincible assassins who can slow down the world around them. Aw shit, this is set in the same universe as Wanted, isn't it?
Alright, I will say there is one really funny moment here.
Okay, fellas. So you saw that I could basically kill all of you guys from here, right? Was that dude your buddy? I mean, look at that guy. That's it. That's game over. We all know how this is gonna go down. Anybody?
Hey, where the fuck are you going? We paid you for the day!
Fuck this, man.
It doesn't make up for anything, but it was a good joke.
He takes most of them out, but Steve knocks him to the ground. They don't kill him, for reasons we'll get to soon, but they do take Martha. Richie is pissed, but tells them that if he shows up, they hit him with everything they've got. They even let Steve guard the front with an M16.
Fuckers. Oh, do this, Steve. Do that, Steve. Come on, Steve. You can handle it. Take the fucked up shotgun, Steve.
Oh, son of a mother ass shit. Fucking crap. What the hell is wrong? Oh my god, what the oh, Jesus Christ. But he lets them live and takes out all the others in a matter of seconds. Again, there's no tension. He doesn't kill Richard, and if you're wondering what Vaughn's been up to this whole time, well...
Your thing, with the thing that you do.
No, what?
The hitman thing that you do, where they try to hire you and then you kill them out of some fucking misguided moral fucking purpose that you have, that crazy bullshit.
I promised my girlfriend I don't do that anymore.
What? I brought you all the way here to kill him, and you tell me that you're not killing anymore?
Yes, Vaughn tried to kill Richie by having Richie put out a hit using Francis, knowing his moral code. There are easier ways to do it, like hiring a hitman who will actually do the job, or, you know, just killing him himself, but I guess he couldn't really deal with the thought of killing his own brother. Or this movie's a piece of shit.
Francis finds Martha and does a dance because quirky! Hopper starts a fight with Francis on the sunniest rainy day in history, and Johnny kidnaps Martha. Again. Oh god, how is this still going? Alright, whatever. Martha kills Johnny because he went on some long tirade about turtles, and then kills Vaughn because he was too stupid to pull the trigger when he had the chance.
I told you this would happen! I told you, but you didn't listen to me! Nobody listens to me!
Has anybody not listening to you ever been established in this movie? In fact, a lot of bad things happen because you don't listen to others.
I'm a T-Rex! I am invincible!
If I ever have a child and they tell me they want to be a T-Rex, I'm gonna punch them. It's not child abuse, it's just teaching them a lesson.
Steve kills Hopper and Francis and Martha move to Vietnam when this happens.
We've lost visual contact with the female target.
We've been spotted. Shit! Where's the girl? Who's got eyes on the girl? Where the fuck is the girl? Oh, shit.
What you looking at?
So I guess killing people is okay, despite Sophie, the most logical character, saying it wasn't. Speaking of which, did they ever get her out of the closet?
So that was Mr. Right, one of the worst movies of the past 10 years. It's not funny, the acting is terrible, the writing is stupid, the characters are annoying, it has some of the biggest tonal jumps you'll ever see, and seems to be made up of all the annoying stereotypes of millennials. And after the mediocrity that was Bright, I don't see Landis' career taking a turn anytime soon.
So now that we've looked at Mr. Right, let's look at Mr. Wrong.
This critically panned 1996 bomb was an Ellen DeGeneres vehicle and directed by Michael Myers. No, seriously, it was directed by the same guy who played Michael Myers in the original Halloween. And it turned out so terribly that Ellen didn't have a leading role in a movie again until Finding Dory 20 years later.
Let's just do this.
So we begin with the creepiest opening credits since Leonard Part 6. Is it me, or is this the kind of music that was in every 90s comedy, just more sinister? We then enter a Mexican prison where an FBI agent is taken by the guard to see Ellen's character, Martha. Apparently, Martha did something bad and decides to tell the two what happened in flashback. And now we know where this all leads, so the suspense is lowered. Martha's sister got married at 25, and this upsets her because she's 31 and still single.
Well, I guess it won't be long before we're shopping for baby clothes.
Mom, they just got married.
And you'll be next.
Pressuring people into marriage, instant way to make me hate someone.
Okay, so I didn't catch the bouquet. And I didn't really care. I didn't. Until it was Valentine's Day. The lamest day on a single girl's calendar.
Hey! That's sexist. It's no better for single men either.
Martha works at a morning talk show, but even here she can't escape the thought of marriage.
Just as soon as I put these fabulous roses in some water, they're from my fiance.
Why are you doing it at work? One of Martha's coworkers, named Walter, asks her out on a date, but she declines because... I don't know. I mean, he seems charming enough, and they clearly are good friends.
Hey, Walter. We're still on for that humiliating defeat at air hockey tomorrow, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
Friend zone.
Her blind date doesn't go well as he decided to take her to obnoxious Indian stereotypes. This movie is very boring so far. That night, since the TV is only playing ironic shit, she goes to a bar and tries to pick some music from the jukebox, but drops her coin. Some guy comes up behind her, puts his own coin in, and moves his finger slowly across the selections in a way that only happens in movies. Martha looks up to see...
He sounds too blue to fly.
Holy shit, it's the president!
This is Whitman, played by Bill Pullman, and the two instantly hit it off. Compared to Mr. Right, they don't have bad chemistry, but they don't have great chemistry either.
And that's not great because the next 20 minutes are just these two developing a relationship, and it is incredibly boring.
They talk for the night, and then she tells her parents about him.
What's he do?
He's a poet.
Because God forbid you just be glad your daughter's happy, you pieces of shit. They talk some more, they have sex. You know, are the agent and guard just listening to her prattle on about this shit? There's not even really that many attempts at humor. It's really boring. Well, okay, something interesting does happen one day when Martha's phone rings.
Hello?
Stay away from my man, you hear?
Who is this?
My man, you bug.
Alright, this is something.
Martha takes Whitman to meet her parents with more of that 90s music.
Oh, look, he's getting a door for her. Oh.
And they seem to like him, but he admits that he wasn't really being himself.
Well, I want you to be yourself.
Really?
If he turns out to be an alien, I'll totally recommend this.
No, he's actually a crazy person. They go to a liquor store where you can get an 18-pack for $10, but he convinces her to steal beer. They do some bad comedic skit of passing it off to one another, and because the cashier is an idiot, they almost get away until Martha drops one.
You stealing from me, you shit!
I gotcha!
Come on. All right.
Well, at least it's getting interesting. So now would be the time to break up with him.
Mark, what are you talking about? This guy sounds great. I mean, he's smart, he's handsome, he's successful, but he threw a can of beer at an old man.
He also steals and nearly got her killed.
Martha, the guy I'm going out with loves monster trucks. All right, no, he thinks Sizzler is a fine French restaurant. Martha, he calls my breasts bazungas. All men are horrible in their own way. You just have to learn to accept that.
No, there's having small flaws like being forgetful or being a slob, and then there's being, you know, a thief. So because Martha's desperate, she goes to meet Whitman's mother.
Ah, good birthing hips.
Why do I get the feeling this is going to be one of those movies that tries to be feminist but ends up insulting women by accident? We get a scene of them playing charades that isn't funny and goes on for what feels like fucking ever. In fact, that applies to the next few scenes. They say goodbye to his mom in a scene that isn't funny and goes on too long. The two stop at the coffee shop restaurant.
I don't know why that name pisses me off so much, it just does.
Martha finally breaks up with Whitman in a scene that once again isn't funny and goes on too fucking long. God, the pacing in this movie is terrible. Also, yeah, stealing and nearly getting you killed wasn't enough, but having an awkward day with his mother, that's worth breaking up with him for. But Whitman doesn't take the hint and decides to prove his love for her by doing this.
Don't do it, don't.
Yeah, it doesn't really have much effect when we don't see anything and you put in a sound effect that doesn't fit with the tone of the scene.
He takes her home, and before she can even call to get a restraining order...
You didn't even try with that, did you, Ellen?
This is Whitman's ex-girlfriend, Inga, played by Joan Cusack, and her assistant, Bob. Inga is so terrible. Everything about this character doesn't work. She feels like a cartoon in a movie that, up until this point, has mostly been down to earth, and she's so ungodly annoying. Cusack's performance is terrible, and Ellen looks like she doesn't give a shit. And since she doesn't, why should I?
Okay, fine, I can go now? I don't think so!
Well, I'll give it this. Bob is played by Casey's pedophile uncle from Split, so I guess that makes him a little scary. So they leave, and the next day, Whitman starts showering her with stuff.
Martha? I forgot to put the kid in the San Diego chicken.
It's all right.
It's not all right. It's a disaster. He's a legend in this town. How can I forget the San Diego chicken? Now I'm gonna have to call the zoo and book the monkeys. You know how much Dick hates the monkeys.
Martha, the chicken is booked. I took care of it. I told him I was your assistant. Dick will never know.
Again, what was wrong with going out with this guy in the first place?
Whitman sends her some faxes of his face. Well, it's better than the other end, as her mother calls to ask her to house sit for the night. She accepts, hoping to spend a night away from Whitman, but later that night, something comes creeping outside.
Alright, on one hand, I'll admit that Ellen's reaction actually was kind of funny, but on the other hand, what the fuck?
Yeah, Martha, now might be the time to call the cops, or hey, she called the cops. What do you know? Something smart. Of course, they can't be of much help because the police are useless, and after seeing that he's flooded her home with gifts, she goes to a private investigator who says that he will keep him away from her. Of course, that guy turns out to be useless, as that night after Walter and her go to the opera, he shows up and starts harassing her.
I've made love to her.
Well, Martha's dead, the end.
He's had one serious relationship with Inga Gunther. And this Inga once tried to assassinate the rock temptress, Stevie Nicks.
Then why isn't she in jail?
The investigator implies he can kill Whitman, but she tells him to just talk to him. She gets to work the next day to see that monkeys have invaded the newsroom and all their guests are MIA because someone sent faxes in Martha's name telling them they weren't needed. Where's the humor here? This isn't funny. This guy is ruining her life. No, seriously, no one believes her, and even Walter is completely useless.
You were at the opera? Tell them what happened at the opera.
She fainted.
And after she is basically fired, she rushes to her parents' house. But they're heading off to Mexico thanks to Whitman giving them tickets.
You can't go! I need you! Mommy!
You know, Ellen seems really miscast in this. Maybe if they got Laura Dern or Sandra Bullock, it could have worked better, but Ellen just isn't clicking. Anyway, it seems Whitman has charmed her investigator, so now he doesn't believe her and says she should stay with him. This movie is fucking horrifying. She gets hit by a bus and wakes up in the hospital where her sister is there.
You meet this wonderful guy, then you think you've lost him. Still, suicide. You didn't lose Whitman. And now you never will. Never, never, never. No, I've got to go.
And the hell was he able to get a ring on that finger? Seriously, this may be one of the scariest movies I've ever seen.
Of course, creepy McStalker is there, and that night she tries to sneak out. Of course he's a fan of Ayn Rand. Of course he is. She manages to escape and gets a ride from a car, but guess whose car it is?
Uh-oh. Well, I warned you not to get in the way of a cosmic kind of love, witchy.
How did she find out where she is?
They tie her up in the middle of nowhere, and I think just a mile away, Detective Mills and Somerset are finding out what's in the box.
Ants? What ants? Prepare to be consumed, Martha Alston. Prepare to be...
Oh my god, this is one of the worst performances I've ever seen. I mean, she's just so bad. Whitman finds them, somehow, and shoots her in the arm.
Maybe I should call AAA.
No, I'm not a car.
Oh, God, I hate you.
Whitman takes Martha to an RV and introduces her to her two new adopted Mexican children. Well, as horrifying as this is, the only other way for them to have gotten children is through him raping her, so I guess this is a better alternative. He tells her they are getting married in 6 hours and the two children hold her hostage. He also drugs her because why not make this more of an unintentional thriller than it already was? She goes to a bathroom where there's a payphone, so she makes a call to Walter.
I want you to get on a plane. Just get on a plane and fly fast. Come to Los Cabos. Buy a gun.
Whitman said you might try something like this, that you'd do anything to sabotage your own happiness.
Why would you believe that? Aren't you supposed to be her best friend?
This is one of those movies where the only way it will make sense is if it was all a dream. Hell, her parents are there and seem to be more happy that their daughter is getting married than she is happy. That seems like something that would happen in one of her dreams. But no, instead Walter shows up with a gun, but he trips, knocks himself out, and the gun lands in Martha's hands. Whitman tries to sweet talk her, but...
Give me the keys now.
You just need a great big hug. Come here.
So the agent and guard decide to take her in, but Walter manages to help her escape. By the way, what happened to the kids? Oh, and here's a bullshit twist. Turns out she actually didn't shoot him, it was Inga, who again somehow managed to find them in another country. Bob gets them some horses to get back to the US.
Thanks for being there for me when no one else was.
He really wasn't. I mean, he was barely in it and didn't even help you until the last possible second. He fucking survived! So, that was Mr. Wrong. Mr. Right is still worse.
Now I will say, I understand why more people would like Mr. Right. It has a lot of energy and definitely personality, but I found it a lot more annoying. With this film, the first half is boring and the second half is mean-spirited, the tonal shifts are awful and the acting isn't very good, but I can't say I was annoyed that much, and only really hated the characters I was supposed to. If they had just tried to make this a straight thriller, it may have been okay, but I still wouldn't recommend it.
So, I hope you all have a great Valentine's Day. I probably won't do too much for the rest of the month, but don't worry, March is gonna be a themed month. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.